Yo, yo, yo. We got a lot to unpack. That's all I got to say right now.
A lot to
Yeah.
unpack.
College football is the greatest sport on earth. And
It is
week
wild.
week 8 to week 9
Craziness.
did not disappoint at all. Wild and crazy chaos ensued and on our end, obviously, with the way the Canes played Friday night, the way Florida State looked
In the
Saturday, and
whole state
yeah,
of Florida, well, the big three. I won't
yeah.
say the whole state, but the big three.
Yeah, had all earth shattering, earth riveting things happen to them last weekend. And then, we had, oh, by the way, some pretty good ball games in the top 25. Yeah. So like I say, we jump right into it, and get started and start bashing your boys because
Yeah, they were
they,
pitiful.
they,
They
they
bite
completely
into
disappointed big time Friday night in Hard Rock.
yeah,
And yeah,
they
I'll
read
let
into
you,
the headlines.
I'll let you lead the onslaught of your boys.
Yeah, it was penalties,
Oh man,
interception, bad coaching, bad tackling. Did I miss anything? Did I miss
I
anything?
mean,
A
I,
bad
I guess,
play at the end of
I
the
guess,
game, bad
I guess your
execution of
quarter,
the
I
play.
guess your quarterback doesn't want to take accountability and be a leader. He wants to blame everyone else. But
That is a false narrative because if people watch the whole clip, he said he takes full accountability of what happened. The reporter asked him what happened on the last play, and he just said what happened on the last play. But we live in clickbait
yeah,
USA or clickbait world in 2025, and people just take out the part they want to take out and use. But if you listen to the full clip, Carson
hmm
says he puts it on himself. He takes full accountability of the picks that he was chasing, down the field, shots down the field, and that, he has to be better. That's what he said. I'm paraphrasing, but that's what
yeah,
he
yeah, yeah,
said.
yeah.
Then they asked the question. But for a game standpoint, you come out flat and you don't do anything on offense. You go a quick 3 and out. Louisville is able to, that's one thing the Canes have done the last, well, I'll say this year. Last year's defense was terrible. But this year is like they try to feel out teams that first drive or two, and it didn't bite them in the ass the other games. In this
hmm
game, Louisville gets up 7-0. Canes get the ball back, pretty much give it right back to them. They get down the field, and then they did a fake field goal. It was a hell of a play. I've been saying Jeff Brom is one of the best play callers in the country. I think it's just no one knows about it because he's at Louisville. But you
hmm
can't miss 28 tackles. You can't have missed 28 tackles in the game. Like watching that defense the first quarter or so, I was like, did Lance Guidry sneak back in the building to make defensive calls? And with all that being said, well, before I get to the end, you got to give Ron English a lot of credit too, because what they did on Louisville did on defense, they pretty much did a bear look. Bear meaning they had all the offensive linemen covered up. They had 5 guys on the line of scrimmage, and then they were able to shoot backers in and out when they thought Miami was running, to where they could get a free guy in the backfield to at least slow down Fletcher, Lyle, or Brown. I think the first half, I think Miami only had like 47 yards rushing. So now that's on the coaching of the offense and Shannon Dawson to be more creative in the run game and not just doing the inside zone, and then we'll do like a little counter. Like we literally only run 2 plays, it feels like, in the run game. And then passing, Carson just has to know you have checkdowns, and he has to take the checkdowns. He had it all night, where a lot of those plays, he was just taking shots downfield. There were some questionable pass interference calls, but that's not why you lost the game. If you're taking a shot down the sideline, Carson has to know you got Fletcher or one of the backs on the right boundary, and then you had the tight end on the left just sitting there. And then on a one play, he had the tight end. No, he had the back and a receiver, and then you had a corner like playing both of them. So he has to figure out and be smarter. And one positive out of the game on the Louisville side, former teammate Bo Mack from JU, his son had a pick, number 4. Hey, it was great to see. It's against my team, but anytime you see someone that I haven't seen him
hmm
since he was a kid, long time ago. But it was pretty cool to see. I know they were all down there enjoying the game. But tip your cap to Louisville for doing a great job offensively and defensively as the coaches. They had time to study. And, they also on the Miami defensive side, where you got to give Braum credit, is they didn't let Bain and Mesidor wreck their game. Yeah, you'll see the PFF rankings and say they still had a nice high pressure rate. But Miller Moss, the goal in this game was get the ball out as quick as possible.
Yeah.
And they did that, and Chris Bell killed them on the underneath routes. But once the defense settled in, after it was 14-0, I mean, they only put up 10 more points the rest of the game. You got to put that on offense for not doing anything. And all that being said, all the negative I just said, Kane still had opportunity to tie the game or win it. And I like what Mario said. We were going for the kill. We were going for the win. We're not settling for a field goal.
Yeah, I agree. No, they had that. They were in business to go down and win the football game. I think the biggest takeaway for me was your inability to run the football or lack of, committing to it.
Or creativity.
Yeah. Like I say, you finished with 63. You said you had 47 at halftime. Yeah, that means you didn't stick to it. You didn't try it. And then, so what that leads to is then, forcing Carson into some throws maybe that he shouldn't have made. Then that leads to turnovers. What's crazy is after all that was said and done, the wildness of where the game looked out of reach was after the one of the last interception, the third interception. And then boom, you get a huge play from Keontae Scott on Brown.
Yeah.
Where it's like they're about to, run 3 minutes, 4 minutes off this clock. Game's over. Instead, you get the quick turnover and the quick score, and you're like, whoa. Then you get a stop.
Yep.
To where you're basically
with 3 minutes left. You still have 3 minutes on the game.
So now you're in business to basically say, all right, we can go down here. Least of the worries is we can send this thing to overtime if we need to, but let's go ahead and try to win the football game. But obviously, you get a pressure. Carson throws the hot ball on the outside. The guy makes a hell of a play.
And that's the thing. It was TJ Capers on the pick. TJ Capers made a hell of a play.
He made a tremendous
fingertips
catch.
And able to pull it in and, fall over. And you could tell that Carson was expecting Lofton to go shorter. And it was a good hot play because just watching the pass, because if Lofton was running the way, if the play was designed to go how Lofton was running, Carson would have just dropped it over Capers' head and Lofton would have had a big play. And you know what? That's football. Capers made a good play. Lofton didn't run the right route. Carson made a bad pass. Yeah. It's okay to say that the kid made a hell of a play, which he did, and Carson made a bad pass, and Elijah ran the wrong route. That's football. It happens. And, but to say, the argument, I know you didn't read all of it, or the back and forth between me and Joe, is like, why would you bleed the clock, or take that back? Why would you use your timeouts when you're trying to bleed the clock and score at the same time?
Yeah.
Where he threw the pick was at the 30-35. So you're still in field goal range to say, you know what, we're going for the kill. They had to use one timeout because they ran the ball I think it was 4th down to get the first. They had to use a timeout because Louisville was just doing what you're taught since Pop Warner. You lay on top of the guy and force them to use a timeout. You don't let the back get right up because you want the clock to run. So that in essence leaves 2. And then there was 40 seconds left. So you had to think like, we got plenty of time to score. If we got an extra timeout in case we need it, and we keep the third timeout in case it's time to kick the field goal.
Yeah, no, like I say, I didn't think there was a blunder in the management there. Like I say, it was poor execution down the stretch right 100%, there. And like I say, that, and I guess what leads it to is, you play one of your worst games of the year. You have 4 turnovers in that capacity. Like you say, you have the 9 penalties. That recipe leads for, 0 error. And so what happens is you lose ball games like that. So when it's all said and done, the fact that you were able to possibly have a shot to send it to overtime or win the game, shows even with all that said, and, you still can get clipped, but, you got to find a way not to make those mistakes to win ball games. And, is this a chink in the armor for Miami? Yeah, definitely. Like it, because again, I guess this is what I was more so disappointed in. I thought Miami was kind of past this stuff, and I guess here's the thing about college football. Like we say, nobody's past anything if you don't come out and play your A game. And
every week,
if you play your B and C game, you can get beat by somebody because
Well,
Louisville didn't like play their A game. They played a pretty good game.
No.
And, yeah, Isaac Brown had some nice runs. He had the big run. They were able to rush for over 100 yards. Miller Moss made a couple big throws, but they were harassing him still. But he didn't turn it over, so like that's
after they went up 14-0, like I said, I feel like the defense settled in.
Right.
And then indictment on the coaching for the Canes. Miami played the same way they've played all season. Like, remember I texted you guys during the Florida State game. I'm like, Miami's giving Florida State everything in the middle. And they did the same thing against Louisville, and Louisville took advantage of it. Louisville was like, okay, if you guys don't want to give us the deep ball, we'll take the short crossers. And then with taking the short crossers with Bell, a lot of Bell's catches were like 3-4 yards past the line of scrimmage. And then he was just making plays after that. And that's where you see the arms just reaching out, trying to tackle him. The arm tackling from last season popped in. So a lot of the Louisville players were just making hell of a plays and breaking tackles to get that yak. And I think that's the coverages we've been playing pretty much all year. Whereas we're not giving you big plays. We'll give you everything underneath because we believe in our tackling. And it just didn't work out. And then on the offensive side, we're just doing the same thing we've been doing. You want to load the box up and stop our run? We're going to take shot plays. Now this is where Carson has to be smarter and take the easy throws, take the check downs. Hey, I'll take being called check down Charlie all day if you're getting positive yards off those plays. If you can hit the back out in the flat and he can get 3, 4, 5, 6 yards of carry, that's the chain movers. And you make that defense change their style of play. And that's just what the Canes got to do going forward. Should they have a problem this week? I think it's a get back game, not trying to jump too far ahead. Yeah. But you got to learn from this and be better. And I think
I don't know, the Stanford trees, baby. I don't know, they're pretty tough.
I know, right? But I think the Canes coaches have to be better, just like the players. It's full accountability going around the building that everyone needs to look in the mirror and say we need to be better.
Like I said, I think you're alluding to it is they're feeling themselves pretty good. Number 2 team in the country. A lot of people were talking about them being in that upper tier. You got what it looks like is you might have got a little bit of fool's gold by playing the freaking Gators and Noles, who are just god awful right now. So like you smack both of those teams around, and all of a sudden you're feeling pretty good. And again, Louisville's been a solid team. One of those teams has. They're always 8-9 win team. They'll give you fits and they'll give you problems. Like you say, Brom's been a good coach. Brom's been the master of the upsets in college football when he was at Purdue and now at Louisville. So like it's one of those things of, again, this is where I was more so disappointed in that, you have one of these types of games. But guess what?
Everybody
the good part about this day and age in college football is not like the old. Like now you basically – you got to wash that out of your system. It's over. It's done with. Move on from it. Learn from all those mistakes. Don't make those same mistakes twice. And you'll be all right. You'll be fine. But like I say, what's crazy now is like the jumbled mess of the ACC, and I think it's going to play itself out. But it is kind of wild to look at the 4-0 team or the undefeated teams, and then the jumble with the 1-loss teams, and then. You have the imbalanced schedule of this team's not playing that team, and just like, so who's actually going to go to the ACC championship game? How many bids will the league get if you don't get in the ACC championship game? All that type of stuff. And like I say, we're halfway through the season, so we got a lot to play. Well, but I just think that you got to wash this one out and just say, that's our mulligan. It's our mulligan. Let's move on.
So here, I'll bring this to you. The funniest thing I've heard all weekend after that game. More before Saturday's slate of games, where you heard all the talking points saying, "Oh, Miami played themselves out of the playoff, even if they went out." And I'm just sitting there like, we're week 7, week 8. You know how much stuff could happen. This is before Saturday's game, and I'm like, these are the dumbest takes ever. And I get these guys have to say that to generate views and all of that. But it's a dumb take because if one of your hypotheticals, if the Canes win out and they don't play in the ACC championship game, they are in the playoff. I don't care what anyone says. They are ranked number 9 currently. So
So
they're in position to
yeah, they
move
won't.
back up.
They're not going to go if they don't lose. They're not going to go down. So
Right. And then I could care less about playing in the ACC championship game.
yeah,
I know people will use that against us and be like, you still haven't won an ACC championship game since you've been in the league. At this point, do conference championships matter if you make the playoffs? Yeah,
yeah. Now
it's a
in this day and age, it kind of doesn't anymore. It
yeah.
kind of
I
like
mean,
it's taken the
bragging
luster off of
rights.
that game. It's taken the
Yeah,
luster off of that game.
it's bragging rights, and you're just sitting there. If just say, I think, yeah, Georgia has a loss. You think Kirby cares about being in a SEC championship game if they went out and somehow they could get in the playoff without playing that game? That
Yeah.
means just one more week of rest
Mm-hmm.
for them. And
Yeah,
I'm
no,
not
it's
diminishing.
why it's basically been diminished because of the
Yeah,
addition of the 12-team playoff now, and they're talking about the 16 teams. So again, the only thing that's going to make it good and cool. Well, and here's the other thing: if they do this new thing where the 1 and 2 teams don't even play for it, and it's kind of like a play-in weekend with teams, 3, 4, 5, and 6 trying to play in to get a spot. That takes away from, again, it's not, I guess you'll just have like a regular season maybe champion or something. I don't know how they're going to do all that when they get to it, but yeah, it's definitely like, hell, going into this year, us thinking, okay, Gators, can they get to 9 and 3? That wasn't going to put us in Atlanta, and I could care less. I could be like, I don't even care about going to Atlanta. I just want to get in the dance. It's like you just want to get in the tournament.
Dude,
and so
9 top 25 teams lost this weekend.
Yeah.
So all this talk about, oh, you're not going to get in with one loss is like, dude, we're right at the halfway mark, and 9 teams just lost in the top 25. But yet you're out here telling people that teams aren't going to get in the playoff with 1 or 2 losses. Potentially, they could be a 3-loss team in the playoff this year.
Oh, there's going to be a 3-loss team in the playoff.
Yeah.
Because I'm telling you, like, we're down to literally
will
5.
3-loss Miami getting in the playoffs? I doubt that.
Right. We're down to 5 undefeateds left: BYU, Georgia Tech, and then the top 3: Ohio State, Indiana, and Texas A&M.
Right.
And so, like, obviously, the A&M's got a tough slate still. Ohio State and Indiana, to me, they definitely can run the table.
And they're going to have a loss because they got to play in the Big Ten championship game.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They're going to have to play in the game, but they'll both be in. BYU, like, they've been a little bit of a surprise this year, I'd say. Obviously, the big win in the Holy War, but could they get clipped? Sure. They still got Texas Tech. They still got Cincinnati, who's playing good ball. They still got to play, at Iowa State. So, like, they could lose. They got Iowa State. They got Iowa State this weekend. They could lose that game after coming off a big win. But there's going to be, and Georgia Tech, they're gonna have to play some people too. They still got the Dogs on the schedule. So so there's definitely, everybody's gonna have a blemish. So then it comes down to, do you have 1 loss? Do you have 2 losses?
Whose blemish is bad? And for the Canes, the good thing is, like you say, Louisville is not a bad team. They only have 1 loss.
Yeah, they're 5-1 too. They're 5-1 too. They're clearly now in the ACC race themselves.
Right. So like, you're hoping, if you're a Canes fan, you're like, you got to kind of root for Louisville under the radar, because as long as they keep winning, that looks good on your resume. It's not like we lost to a bad. Just say if they lose to Stanford, if they would beat Louisville and then lost to Stanford.
Losing to Stanford's bad. So
might be the worst team
Boston College. Boston College is pretty bad.
Boston College and Stanford are the worst teams in the ACC. So
actually, the Noles are pretty bad too. We'll get to them in a second.
We'll get to them in a second. But people were like, "Are you mad?" And I'm like, "No, we lost to a bad Louisville team that I thought that was going to give us fits, because they always give us fits. Now, what do you do after this is the key. What do you do
again? This is the new thing again too of college football, like, to where it's hard to get out of your brain. In our age range, to where a loss was so detrimental. You're like, man, the season's over, man. No, like, it was.
Then you're hoping just to win the conference.
Yeah, it was so excruciating. But even that, go back to the BCS 1 versus 2. You're like, we're done, man. We're done. Yeah. We're just playing for pride now.
You're playing to be in the New Year's 6 Day Bowl.
That's how it would be. Like, literally week 6, you're like, damn, our season's over. Like, that's crazy. Now we're kind of in that NFL mantra mode where you're like, we could lose a game or two. You got to just, what did we do wrong?
and
to
correct it and
correct.
move on.
Exactly. So, what do they do wrong at 10:30 at night?
Well, I'll tell you. The first play, the very first play, they had to delay a game.
Oh my
The sponge.
god,
They
man.
received the ball first in the very first play. They had a delay. How do you come out on the field 9 times out of 10? Well, 10 times out of 10, your first 10 to 15 plays are scripted. Everyone should know. Like, did all of a sudden Gus Malzahn be like, I don't know, we should change this play right here. What do you think, Tommy? Like, everyone has their plays scripted. How do you get a delay a game on the very first play? How to delay a game? Then you have a jump off sides in the second quarter where it's 3-3 on a field goal. Edwin Joseph jumps off sides on a field goal. So that extends the drive. Stanford then scores 10-3. Then you have, you get a bad pass interference call that extends drives. Then Castellanos steps past the line of scrimmage where he threw the ball, penalty, stops drive. And that was like the whole day. Like 4th and 1. Stanford's 4th and 1 from their own 30, 35. You know how they get out there and they do the hut, they try to draw people off sides. They are punting. Lions jumps off sides, extends drives. And that was pretty much the comedy of errors for Florida State on Saturday night at 1 a.m. East Coast time.
What's great, like, see, people, we do talk ball because we watch ball. I didn't watch the first half of this game just because it was awful.
Yeah.
But I was actually watching a movie with Haiti, and then she fell asleep, and I was like, well, you know what? I'll flip this on. So what did I do? I flipped it on and watched the second half. And you and I were texting until 1:30 in the morning about how much of a debacle this shit was. And, so we were up watching this game. Yeah, we're not just – and I hate Florida State. I wasn't watching just because – I mean, yeah, a part of me was watching because I was reveling.
Oh, yeah. No, you were rooting against it. You were hoping. Not a part of you. I would say 98% part of you was watching Florida State hoping that they lost.
Yeah, 13 penalties for 79 yards. What's crazy is, again, they still somehow found a way to get back in it themselves with a couple big, huge plays. And,
I think it was more Stanford.
That last 4 minutes was kind of – it was good. It was fun,
I think – well, and then – so you're Florida State. You're going in like, okay, we are on this 8-game conference losing streak. We're flying against the West Coast to the West Coast. This should be a business trip. Not only on the business trip, you get in the game. You hurt their starting quarterback.
Yeah, man.
4 minutes left.
Like that Stanford's offense after that was pedestrian, man. It was god awful.
So Sponge,
you could
listen. They were out their starting quarterback, starting running back, starting right guard, and 2 starting corners.
Yeah,
on the worst team possibly in the country, and you found new ways to lose the game. And in that fourth quarter, once they got up, Stanford just like, we're just going to run the football. We're just going to do the typical 3 yards and cloud of dust. And if we have to pass on third down where it's 3rd and 6 and more, we'll do that. And they were.
Yeah, I know a lot of people were, upset about the hit on Castellanos. I'm like, what? That safety, he slid super late as usual. He's one of these late sliders. And I'm okay with that guy from Stanford taking his head off. You know what I'm saying? Like, it is what it is. You want to slide late? I'm going to blast you because I'm not just going to just let you just run in the end zone. Yep. So, yeah, sure. The guy got kicked out of the game. Well, he knocked your quarterback out of the game. And that ended up being the detriment.
That was
if he would have slid sooner, guess what? He gets up and he's still playing football. Yep. But he wanted to slide Kyler Murray late style, and he got his ass knocked out the game, and then so you got to bring in the freshman quarterback. He made that one long completion, which that can't happen if you're Stanford. Then, I see, people like Cannell and all these people saying that was clearly a touchdown on the shovel pass play. It wasn't a good angle.
Honestly, I thought it was, but I thought it was a terrible play call, personally. I was like, that's what you run right there?
I mean, if it would have worked where it looked like it did, I mean, I guess it's a good play call. I guess it's, it is what it is. But, I mean, what's your other play call? Fade ball to Deuce Robinson with a freshman? I don't know. So it's like So you're trying to be a little bit tricky in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, again, I'll tell you what was uncomfortable to watch was the post game presser. I was going to send that to you because I watched it like 30 minutes after we were done texting.
Yeah, I didn't. I
It,
didn't
it
watch it.
oh my god, man, that
I had to
was
be to
that
work
was
at 8 a.m. So
that was a hard watch and listen to
yeah.
Norvell. I felt bad for the guy.
Well,
I
he
mean,
probably thought he was
oh my,
fired.
yeah, and again, this is inexcusable, man. Inexcusable to be. How did Alabama lose to this team? Not how did Florida State beat out? How did Alabama lose
I
to
think
this
it
team?
was just one of those where I think Alabama just thought they were going to go in there and just win, and Florida
Yeah,
State, they had all
nobody
summer.
gave Florida State a chance that
Yeah,
first
Florida
weekend.
State had all summer to get right, and they did. And it's what we've been saying about the Gus Malzahn offense since they won a national championship at Auburn. The
Yeah,
first few weeks of the season, it's cute, it looks great, it works, everyone loves it. And then after a while, everyone's just like, he's running literally the same plays over and over and over and over and
yeah.
over again.
Well, like I
And
say,
that's
it's
all they've been doing. The Florida State offense is we're going to throw a jump ball to Deuce Robinson or take a shot to Danzy or run a reverse to Danzy and hope our running game gets going. And if none of that works, we got number one in the backfield. He could run and pick up yards. But guess what? Everyone is doing that now. That's
yeah,
not like foreign, like when he had Nick Marshall, and it was just you go from, just say if you're Alabama, for 11 games of the year, you're playing the traditional style offenses. And then this one game, you got to prepare for it differently. It's just like playing the service academies back in the day when they ran the triple option. No one ran the triple option. So that one game you have to prepare for. But everyone is doing what Gus Malzahn has been doing the last 20 years. So it's not foreign to defensive coordinators to be ready for a lot of the things he runs.
yeah. Well, like I say, the AD came out yesterday and said they're gonna stick with Norvell as of right now. I
You know
think it's more
why?
so. Well, they're trying to figure out if they can afford this. So
Well,
they're like,
that's
we'll give.
one.
Like I say, even if you were to turn it around, like let's just say you win out, that means you win 7 games. Honestly, the way you're playing right now, I'd pick Clemson to beat you. I don't think you're going to win at Clemson right now.
Well, if Klubnik, as long as Klubnik's playing, because he didn't play
Yeah,
this past week.
right.
Dude,
And
I text this to you guys. Sorry to cut you off,
yeah, you're
but
good.
since before 2020, they've only had one 4-game losing streak, and that was in 1975.
Yeah,
Mike
he's
Norvell's had
back to back
4.
years. Yeah, well, he's back to back 4 in a row, and then I know you gave the stat of the 3-game skids in conference play, and
Dude,
he's got the most in like the last forever.
and I'm sitting here, once another text thread you kind of were out of, with me and Berg going back and forth, and I'm just like, you take out the 2 years, the 10-3 year and the 13-1 year.
Even that year they went 9-3 or whatever it was, and they won the bowl game. They lost 3 conference games that year to all the
Right,
good teams. It was like Clemson, Wake Forest, and somebody that season. Like
right,
they didn't beat anybody good that year,
right.
but that's a good season,
And you
in
could
their
sit here
standard.
and tell me, if you're watching, if you're Florida State, I get most people don't watch the amount of games that we watch, and you watch your team. If you're watching Florida State play and you've watched them the last 7 years, if you take out the 13-0 year or 13-1 year, it has not looked good. It's
No,
been a comedy of errors every week. And you hear some people, like I say, Berg's like, I'll give him one more year. You
yeah,
probably have to give him one more year, because where are you coming up with $100 million for his buyout and a new coach?
yeah,
And then
no,
on
for
top
sure.
of that, the AD's probably like, hell, there are like 10 jobs already open. It might be 12 to 15 jobs open. Are we really going to get the guy we really want here at Florida State, or are we going to have to settle?
Right.
So if you have to settle, you might as well keep 50 million and just pay the guy the rest of the time he's there until next season.
Yeah. Now, like I say, if you're a Florida State fan, would you take James Franklin?
Heck yeah.
Yeah, I would too. I would
Yeah.
too, because you know he's like, at least he's a program stabilizer. I will give it for Franklin, because like I
Mm-hmm.
say, we'll get into the Gator coaching talk here. I mean, screw it. We'll jump into it now. We're done with the Noles. They suck. We'll see if they can win some games to save Mike Norvell's job. I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah.
Like I say, I got two
It was
graphics. I got the
it was
Gators.
pretty bad.
I got the Gators beating Mississippi State, and I got Billy Napier fired at Florida.
So we're not going to talk about the game, right?
I mean, we don't really need to, except for the very end of
the fire Billy chance.
The micro. No, it was just literally the way the game went down. Is I'm sitting here watching this game, and I'm like, all right, the Gators are up 10 with 6-7 minutes to go. I was like, they're going to give up a big touchdown, and they're going to score, and then it's going to be a 1-score game, and then we're going to have the ball, and then we're going to have to get a first down.
Yeah.
Will we be able to do it? No, we weren't. And the third down play call was exactly what we all thought it would be. Trying to do a play action pass with DJ Lagway just to get blasted for like a loss of 6. Again, this was it was shades of South Florida. We have the ball. Can we run the clock out? Obviously, we didn't do RPO on the first down. They basically said slam it up with ball first 2 plays. He got 9 yards on 2 plays, so now it's 3rd and 1. Hell, give it the ball again, dude. And if he gets stuffed, he gets stuffed. I can live with that. Trying to get tricky and run a play action and all that. Come on, dude. So then, like I say, you give the ball to Mississippi State. We have you have the game where it's like
who is not as bad.
Field goal
is not as bad as people make them out.
Yeah. No, Mississippi State's a stout team. They're tough. Yeah. But like I say, then the crazy part of it is you have the way the score is, where you're like, my goodness, we're about to give them the ball back, and it's not going to be a chance to tie on a field goal, but we're going to lose by 1 point on a field goal.
And they were driving.
Yeah, they were cooking. They were in field goal range, and I don't know what.
Not say cute, but
again, I've heard Mr. Mississippi State Brandon Walker say he's okay with the call. He's all right with the pass.
You just run it right there.
It was a bad, he was okay with Levy's call. Obviously, it goes back to like Carson. It was a bad executed play. There was guys open. I don't think he saw the D tackle drop into coverage.
Exactly.
Throws the ball, gets picked. The guy making a hell of a play. This wasn't going to save Billy's job. It was just to say, well, at least you got to go out with a winner, Billy.
I think if you're, like you say, if you're a Mississippi State fan, how can you hate it because you're right on the doorstep of beating the Gators? I don't know how much of a big of an upset. For Mississippi State fans, that's a big upset.
Yeah, they needed that win because guess what? They're kind of like Florida State. They haven't won an SEC game in a calendar year.
But you can't be mad at the coach going for the kill.
Yeah,
he's going for the kill. He's like, I don't want no field goal.
Yeah, well, who wants to settle for a 46-yard field goal? Like,
right.
That's no cakewalk, man.
You want to get it closer,
exactly. I'm okay with that as well. But maybe you run it, but then you're settling.
And they were running the ball. They were able to run the football.
Yeah, you're able to settle for a 40-yard field goal. Where it's still, again, college guys, no field goal to save. Well, the key stat going into the game where Mississippi State was dangerous and they lived up to their billing was major explosives is what they hit. And they did that continuously. They hit a 47-yard pass. They had a 48-yard pass. They had a couple of decent runs. For the most part, Shapen was good except for that interception. They did run it for 150 yards,
300 yards passing, didn't he?
Yeah, I thought 324. I thought Ball is give him the damn ball. Just like I said, he doesn't have Jacoby Jackson. I think that was part of the problem with Billy. Again, you think you have 2 good backs. Yes, I do like Jacoby Jackson. Yes, you need to have a backup to spell your guy, but your guy should be the guy for a reason, and he should get the brunt and the majority of the totes. So this is like 2 weeks in a row where Ball's gotten over 20 carries. He rushed it for 150, 6 yards, 6.5 yards a clip.
And you're going into a bye week.
Yeah, I thought
what are you holding him back for?
Right, and I thought DJ, for the most part, did well. But again, dude he's a walking turnover sometimes, and he makes some of the laziest. I think he thinks he's Brett Favre and just can fit it in windows that he can't. Like, dude, you can't throw it that way.
I think that's just honestly, I think that's all the quarterbacks today.
Yeah.
A lot of these quarterbacks think they could fit it in everywhere. And instead of just taking the easy pass, like back to Carson, take the check down.
Yeah.
Hey, Mahomes, little baby Mahomes out there in Nebraska, take the easy plays.
He's throwing left-handed
balls.
That's
what I'm saying. Like, why are we making football more difficult than it should be? Take the easy play. It's okay. it's okay if you get 6 yards
Yeah.
instead of 60.
Yeah.
You might
Yep.
turn the ball over throwing it 60, but if you
Yeah.
throw it and check it down to the wide open guy, that's what extends drives. And then you could just run the clock out. Because, like you say, if DJ 31, you run the ball, you get the first down. If you take a little check down and you just matriculate down the field, the clock's going to be ran out, and Mississippi State has no time left to score, to even be in range to score.
Yeah. Well, with all that
But
being said,
yeah, let's move on to the
Billy gets the
bigger
axe,
news.
which is kind of what we already knew was going to
Yeah.
happen. And again, this is why we said even if he wins this game, he should be
Doesn't
fired.
matter.
And in a sense, I'm glad it happened this way because after it's all said and done now, like let's just go ahead and rip the Band-Aid off. Like, congratulations, Billy, you got a win on your way out.
Mhm.
But there's just not that toxic cloud hanging over your head.
Yeah.
Will he be
'Cause he was
fired?
gonna
Won't
be
he be
every week.
fired?
Exactly.
That's what I'm saying. Is he going to get fired after this game? Oh, he's going to go play against Georgia and he's going to get fired next week. Like, go ahead, reset. You got a bye week to work into some wrinkles, and now the kids can kind of go play free. You don't have to worry about anything now. So,
I mean, shit. Look at Northwestern. Look at all the teams. Not UCLA. If you look at all the teams that have fired their coaches,
yeah, or even
they've all
Arkansas.
played.
Arkansas is playing really good. Arkansas took two teams. They took
listen.
Tennessee and A&M to the wire.
Listen, that's one team I hope we don't have to play because their offense is the most explosive offense in the country.
Yes.
Arkansas will beat, I think, a lot of teams around the country.
It would.
They won't stop anybody,
Yeah,
but they'll put up
sure.
some points.
But yeah, no, like I say, I'm good with it. I was good with it before. Hell, I wanted them fired last year. We can go back and listen to my rant after they gave him the extension. I was like beside myself.
Yeah.
Sure, he somehow found a way to win those games last year, make that little magical run.
It still was ugly.
Then, yeah, it was ugly. And then we like looked at what we had coming back, and that's why we had optimism, Gator fans. We had optimism going into the year.
2 All-Americans at offensive line.
Knowing that this, knowing that this slate was going to be daunting, it just doesn't seem like he was ever going to be able to get it done. And ultimately,
even if he would have got through next year it would have been the same thing. Every publication would be like, who's on the hot seat? And Billy would have been 1, 2, or 3 on every publication of who's going to be on the hot seat.
Yeah, so I'm like, all right, my boy Billy G, my guy, he gets.
I hope it's not a curse of the Billies.
Yeah, right. Coach G, we'll just call him G Unit.
Yeah.
He's gonna hopefully open it up a little bit and let some of these other guys, dial up some plays, call some plays, and hey, let's see what happens. Like
change it up.
It's the season's lost in a sense, anyways. But if you go rattle off some wins and beat Florida State still, and upset, get an upset in one of these big games you got left. You got opportunity. You got opportunity to play all, Georgia, obviously.
Yeah.
You got opportunity to play Ole Miss, Tennessee. Those 3 teams are in the top 25. Beat Kentucky. Who knows? Like win some games and just can we get to 6-6?
Well, it's one of those where.
But even I don't care. I don't even care. Like I want to win the games, but it's now it's like let's get this transition going. Let's get the guy we want.
Well, see that's a huge part, but I also think too what you have to factor in is if you win and make it look decent, you probably won't lose a lot of recruits because you still got to hold on to a lot of those recruits.
Well, apparently, a lot of the recruits just coming out of the firing have been positive. They're like, I like Florida.
I don't believe anything a 17, 18-year-old says.
I agree. I'm just saying, but you check the temperature real quick on the guys who said, hey, and most of it's been positive. There haven't been any decommits, but there's been a couple already from Penn State and that stuff. But yeah, you definitely, it's crazy. I don't even think, to be honest with you, the 26 class was even the greatest. It's more so, can you get guys who were on the edge that hadn't committed, some of those top tier guys, and I think what that'll predicate on is obviously who you bring in. Really and truly, what the most important thing, in my opinion, is the retention of this roster you have.
That too.
Because that's the most important part.
I think
because you got a lot of young guys.
Yeah.
So if you were able to swing a lane, then you got this core coming back with the young receivers. What can Lane Kiffin do with DJ Lagway? You got Ball back. You got some of these running backs back. The defense, hell, we were down to we were playing all freshman DBs, man. Kudos to the Gators.
Mm-hmm.
Like there was 3 true freshmen playing in the secondary on
Yeah.
Saturday. So again, it's one of those things of you got to be able to get the right guy. Everybody's swinging for the fence on. It's going to be Lane. I hope it's Lane Kiffin. I wanted Lane Kiffin last year.
Mm-hmm.
That's the question of, does Lane really want the job? Is
Or
Ole
is he
Miss going to
waiting?
be in the playoff?
Is he waiting on it? But is he waiting on an NFL job as well?
Yeah, I have no idea if Lane
I
wants to
don't
coach
think
the NFL.
anyone in the NFL will hire him, but that's just me saying that. But
yeah, I don't even know if I haven't even heard Lane talk about NFL. So that one's, I don't know.
Yeah, but he can't really talk about jobs right now.
No, I'm just saying in general. I haven't
Yeah.
thought about Lane going back to the NFL at all.
But there's a possibility. I mean, what if Stephen Ross and the Dolphins call Lane and say, "Hey, we want you to come in and be the Dolphins head coach"? That'll be a hard one for him to turn down. We know how much he loves South Florida. He loves to party and be out in the sun and do hot yoga outside and all of that. But it's if for me, okay, if I'm Scott Strickland, I don't want to be because I think he's a terrible AD. But if you're Scott Strickland, the guys you call first, obviously Lane is number 1.
Mm-hmm.
Dan Lanning, Marcus Freeman. You could throw Saban in there. I've been seeing all of that. Whatever. Throw him in there. I know he's not, but I'm just saying.
Right.
Throw him in there. But those are the guys you make say no.
Yeah.
You don't do the whole, well, I know Dan doesn't want this job, or I know Marcus Freeman doesn't want this job. Unless you know definitively from every coach's agent, aka Jimmy Sexton, that these guys don't want the job, then you move to that next tier. But if Lane says no, you go to Dan. Dan says no, you go to Freeman. And then after that, then you throw in then Franklin would be next to me.
Yeah.
And then after that, it's a free for all, and then you hope you pick the right guy.
Where I would have, and that's what I'm saying. Those are like my tops that you just named. I've even taken Dan Lanning off the board. I don't think he's leaving. So
I don't.
But yeah, you make him say no. You make him say no. I think the top 2, in my opinion, are Lane and Freeman. I'm not throwing Saban in there either, but like you say, make him say no. So those are my top 2, and then where I would go 3, 4, 5. I would have Franklin in that mix too. The other 2 guys that I kind of like that I've grown on, I like Dillingham, but I just don't know if he'd leave Arizona State either, just because that's his place. And it'd probably be Drinkowitz with James Franklin. So I think that'd be my top 5, list. And then after that, like you say, you start getting into the mix where the Brent Keys, the Brahms, and those names start popping up. I even think Brent Key is a little higher up on Strickland's board because I think he likes Brent Key. But again, you got to figure out, and like I say, this is where the back channel deals of Jimmy Sexton and these conversations are be going on, because you've already seen reports of Ole Miss already trying to put together a big deal to extend like they did with Cignetti last week. And well, here's the thing. If Lane or Freeman or any of these guys don't do an extension, in the middle of the season,
they're in play.
They're in play. If all of a sudden Freeman comes out next week and signs an extension, Freeman's out. You know what I'm saying? So until those types of things happen, that's where you're like, okay, well now, how did the rest of the season play out? Are you willing to wait? What kind of conversation do you have backdoor that you're saying, all right, Lane's coming, we're good, he's going to play out the rest of the season, and you're just like, you're hoping, and that's the scary part. That's the scary part for me, to be like, okay, Lane says he wants to come, but then all of a sudden, what if he goes on a national championship run, and then all of a sudden he's like, you know what?
Well, I see for Lane, I see Lane in 1 of 3 places. Staying at Ole Miss is 1, taking the Florida job 2, or NFL. He ain't going to Penn State. I don't see.
No.
I'm just going through it. Those are the top 3 places. So Lane is in play until, like you say, he signs the extension.
Yeah. Here's the job that I don't want to come open, because the only other job to me that could take any one of the top candidates away from my school would be if all of a sudden that LSU wanted to move on from Brian Kelly.
Yes.
And then LSU, I think, would be the most attractive spot then.
Yeah.
Even I think we're a better job. I think we're a better job than Auburn, Florida State.
100%. If LSU came open, because that was another thing I was going to touch on, is the Florida job is number 1 currently. Penn State is 2. I don't care what Penn State fans say. Florida's one,
Yeah,
Penn State's two.
Penn State's definitely the second best job.
If LSU comes open, it's 1A, 1B. It comes
Yeah,
down to where you want to be, where you feel comfortable,
right.
because both schools are going to spend
And
on
that's the thing.
facilities.
Yeah, that's the thing. Lane might want to be in Florida still. You know, he might be like,
Yeah.
I don't want
I
to go to
think he would
LSU.
rather
I
be in
mean,
Florida than
right,
LSU than in Baton Rouge.
right.
And so it just comes down to how you feel. I mean, the only other thing that could go against Florida is the instability at president and not knowing there's no president and the new president could come in and get fire Strickland. And
Yeah,
then how does that all work out? Whereas at least at LSU, you have a president and AD and directly that you're working for them.
yeah.
But Franklin, he has to get a job, so the Florida job would be in play for him. I don't see him really.
Here's the thing.
Where,
I'd honestly, I'd be okay with James Franklin. I would. If Lane said,
yeah.
you know what, I'm staying at Ole Miss, and
So
we
if you
don't
had
get
to choose
Freeman,
between him and
I,
Drinkowitz, who?
I would go Franklin.
Yeah, I
Just
could see
because
Franklin possibly
just
taking the
because
UCLA job, but
I think James Franklin, like I say, he's a program stabilizer, so he would get us back. Like again, hell, like I said this before, I give me Mark Richt 2.0, 3.0 right now. I'd rather win 9-10 games and be in the playoffs. Maybe we don't beat Georgia and the top teams, but if we're in the mix, then we got a shot, and at least we're back to relevancy and in the conversation. And
all right.
then if he doesn't get it done, then you try to get the next guy
let
to get
me
over the hump.
rattle off a couple names to see how you feel about it. Alex Golish.
Nope. I like him, but no, not for me because I can't go G5 anymore. I don't want Sunbelt Billy.
Right. Okay. Dillingham, you kind of went through it. You think
I totally want Dillingham. I'd have Dillingham third. Actually, he'd be my
okay.
third choice.
Eli
Would be right after Frank. I'd go Eli. I'd go if it was good. I'll do it my order. It's Dan. I'm throwing Dan Lanning out. It's Lane, Freeman, Dillingham, Franklin, Eli. That's my top 5.
Okay. Clark Lee.
So go ahead. I actually like Clark Lee. I mean, he's done a damn good job at Vandy.
Is that Vandy? Yeah.
I if he would be 6.
Okay. Brent Key. Go further on how you feel
so
about
there you
Brent
go. I'd go right after that. You could probably flip them. The thing, like we said about Brent Key, is
it's not sexy.
He's not sexy. And then what is his real identity? Because he's got Haynes King. So it's just like we're running the offense through Haynes King.
Right.
Would he be able to hire a coordinator to really run the offense he wants? I've already heard rumors of that OC that they have at Georgia Tech is really good. They're just doing what they do best with Haynes King.
Yeah.
So it's like we don't get to know what they would do. And so would he bring that coordinator? Well, a lot of people think if Brent Key got the job at Florida or
Georgia
Arkansas
Tech
or wherever,
and
pay that guy to be the head coach. So
okay. I already know two of the last 4 you're going to say no, but I'm going to bring them up anyway.
Right.
John Summerall from Tulane.
Yeah, I know he's getting a lot of talk. He doesn't do anything for me. He's another G5 guy. No.
Okay. Former Florida alum, Jed Fish.
See, I don't love Jed Fish, man. I don't know.
Neither
I'm over. I like.
Yeah, he had his opportunity, and he's a job hopper.
I didn't love Jed when he was y'all's OC.
I liked him. He was high flying and just. But I think he's a job hopper. He doesn't stay somewhere long.
He is.
He's not.
And again, he's trying to best case in this situation for him. Like he's doing okay at Washington, and
don't be surprised if he goes to UCLA.
Yeah, why not? Here's the deal. Here's the deal. Like Jed Fish, I know he's getting a lot of like rumor mill, and he's like on like the bottom half of the boards just because he's G8 at Florida under Spurrier, all that blah blah blah. But yeah, I don't want Jed Fish.
Okay, last 2, so we can move on. Jeff Brom.
I like Brom. I'd move him up. I mean, he wins big games, something that James Franklin couldn't do.
Yeah.
And he's got a pretty good offense. So
good offense. He recruits Florida well. He loves Florida kids.
I'd be okay with Brom, but he'd be down my list. Obviously, he'd be down the list on all those guys.
Last guy. I have not heard you talk about, but I'm bringing him up. I'll just give you. He recruits Florida well because he was in Florida. Offense will be up and down the field. Gonna have to hire a good defensive coordinator. My guy at SMU, Rhett Lashley.
Yeah, Rhett Lashley, he's like rumor mill. I would be okay with Rhett Lashley, but again, he'd be down my board too. Like if you could probably insert both of these guys you just said, and move them up in the Drinkowitz era,
Okay.
so it's like even like
I
in the
like Rhett Lashley.
I would probably put Rhett Lashley like ahead of like a Clark Lee. Like Clark Lee's done wonders at Vandy, you know what I'm saying? And he kind of gets it, I think. And I think he's not going to be at Vandy much
Vandy
longer.
alum, so he gets Vandy.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But also he kind of gets the new culture of the way NIL is. He signed like his best friend was a guy that I know from the high school recruiting. He's kind of like the GM, and the NIL guy's name is Barton.
I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
And they've done a really good job of just getting Vandy stabilized and obviously they've done a good job by hitting on Pavia. But like I say, Vandy is a top 25 team right now. It's kind of, nuts.
Yeah.
But, again, those definitely are all good names. Like the Golish thing, like I've seen him. I just don't know. I can't go Golish. I can't go Golish in Summerall because it's too familiar to Billy Napier, Jim McElwain,
the hot young up and coming coach. And
I'd rather take Will Stein, the OC at Oregon, over those guys.
If you're gonna go that way,
But I just think
I didn't even throw in Stein and Schumann.
Yeah,
I figured you're not going coordinator.
They're not. They're not. They're definitely not. They got to go coach.
All of those guys say no and get extensions. They're not going that route.
That's what I'm saying. And so that's where it's like.
Or let's take that back. They should not go that route. But with Strickland, we just don't know.
Yeah. Well, here's the flip side. I was going to tell you because I know we just talked about LSU. What would it take for them to move on from Brian Kelly? They're 5-2 right now. They play Texas A&M this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Then they play at Bama the following weekend. Then they close out the year with Oklahoma. Now they'll probably beat Arkansas and Western Kentucky.
Will they beat Arkansas?
I don't know.
Will they put up enough points to beat Arkansas?
You're right. So we'll give them that win. We'll give them that one.
We're giving them a lot because I don't see them winning the next two.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. So you lose those next two, and you're potentially looking at a 7-5 season.
Yeah, he ain't gonna make it. If just say the next two, they better hope that Marcel Reed and that offense have a bad week. And even in a bad week, they've still been putting up points because LSU's not putting up points. If they get blown out the next 2 weeks and then Arkansas hangs one on them, he's out.
Yeah.
Golden boot or whatever that trophy's called, right. He's out after that one.
Yeah. That's great. Yeah. All right, we'll hop into this week real quick. You're the only game.
Man, we didn't even talk about this past week.
Oh yeah, shit. My bad.
Yeah, let's just be quick with this past week. It's all good.
Yeah. We'll go down the board. We'll go down the board. Like I say, we'll go down the top 25 matchups.
Yeah.
Obviously, we'll start.
Like I say. Well, before you get into it, we'll highlight again 9 ranked teams lost: Miami, Ole Miss, Texas Tech, LSU, Tennessee, USC, Memphis, Utah, and Nebraska. Who cares about Nebraska? But
exactly
that sets up. Yeah, exactly. Tennessee, Bama. I thought it was a hell of a game. The game changed on that goal line stand Alabama had, and they scored where Tennessee was getting a little too cute, and they try to drop it out there, and the DB picks it off. Game was over after that. It was over after that.
Yeah, Tennessee, they came out and hit a big run and scored right there coming out in the third quarter.
Mm-hmm.
And Bama answered right back, and they kind of just, like I say, never relinquished the lead where if they get in the end zone right there, it's like a 2-point ball game.
Yep.
Instead, they're down big.
I think they were shell-shocked after that.
Yeah, it totally was. I mean, Tennessee played well, but Bama's rolling right now.
And they arguably could be a top team in the country, but, we're going to hang that Florida State loss on them. But who cares? If they keep winning and playing the way they're playing.
Yeah.
Ain't nobody talking about Kalen DeBoer this week.
My boy Ryan Williams is catching the ball.
He's catching the ball.
Yeah, Ryan Williams and Jeremy Bernard both had a pretty good game. But yeah, Bama playing good ball right now for sure. The other good game, I think probably the best game that I enjoyed the most was that Georgia Ole Miss game. I mean, it was
going into that
shootout.
No defense.
at all. And
I
then
think it was
finally,
like 4 punts the total game.
Kirby finally got some adjustments. They got a 3-and-out late in that game. They finally got Trinidad Chambliss off his spot, and that kind of just took over their late
17-0 in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, and like I say,
That's the
Georgia
only
was
thing. So before you move on from that one, just quick.
Georgia
That's
just grittily. They've just been grittily getting it done, man.
yes.
Like Gunnar Stockton, I know we give Gunnar Stockton a lot of grief.
It's ugly.
Dude just plays, man.
Yeah,
but I mean,
he's a
hell,
gamer.
he's still almost through for 300 though.
Yeah, he's a gamer. I mean, they finally
289,
found
4 touchdowns,
and they finally found ways to use those 2 big tight ends with Lucky and Oscar Delp.
Yep.
You know, I think 2 of the best tight ends in the country that could catch, block, do everything you want, that don't get enough notoriety because in the Georgia offense is all about the receivers and run game.
Yeah.
But no, before we move on from this one, this is the only criticism I have about Lane. Lane is a hell of a good coach, but Lane has to find ways to win games like this. You have the talent. There's no more excuses. I get you're playing with your pseudo backup quarterback, but the way you were playing, you gotta find ways.
Yeah, they like I say, it's hard against Georgia. They struggled running the ball. Yep. When your quarterback's leading rusher, that's always tough. Like I say, you got to keep them honest. I mean, they didn't rush for 100. Those are the types of things you got to do to figure out how to win the ball game. And like I say, you got to somehow muster up a stop where Georgia did and they didn't. Yeah. But yeah, if you want to be a national title contender, you got to somehow win these games.
Yeah,
and
he's always in those games, man.
Yeah, but hell, I'll take them.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, upset City, Arizona State knocks off Texas Tech.
That was a hell of a game.
I was pissed about this one because it blew my parlay, but anyways.
They're a different team with Sam Levitt at quarterback.
Totally, 100%. And what's wild was Texas Tech fired back, scored 15 in the fourth quarter, almost tried to pull the upset back and was unsuccessful. And like I say, now that Big 12 race has gotten interesting for sure with these 2 teams and BYU.
Yeah, what surprised me was the fact that ASU matched the physicality of Texas Tech, whereas Texas Tech has just pretty much been dominating everyone all season. They matched up. Jordan Tyson is a matchup nightmare, and they found ways to get him the ball. He had over 100 yards receiving. So as long as Sam Levitt is upright and healthy, you gotta say ASU still has a chance.
Yeah. The other early window game, we just talked about him a second ago. Vandy, man, they go in and they take care of business at home against LSU. Pavia played well. Vandy just play gritty too, man, and they're fun to watch. And Nussmeier, he didn't have a bad game, but they weren't really able to run the ball themselves. They had, if Caden Durham doesn't have the 51-yard run, they basically rush for 50 yards. A
lot of issues on offense that they can't figure. I don't know if they can't figure it out or they just don't have the guys or what. Vandy's good, man.
Vandy's a pretty good damn team.
They may lose one more game. I don't know the rest of their schedule. They may lose one more.
They got 3 tough games. They play Auburn still, who's god awful, but Auburn's D is legit, man.
Yeah.
If you put Auburn's D on some teams, they play Missouri this weekend, which is gonna be a tough game. That's gonna be a tough game for Vandy. Coming off the mat of those.
The thing is at home, but it's a home game.
Yeah, it's at home. You beat, you lose that close game to Bama. You beat LSU. How can you regroup and play against a good Missouri team? Then you got to go at Texas, who we'll talk about Texas in a second. They looked awful against Kentucky.
Yep.
Then they got Auburn and Kentucky, and then they closed it out with their rival at Tennessee and Knoxville.
Not only are they winning, they better go into those coffers because Vandy has money, and they better go dig some money out to keep Clark Lee there. They got it. They never don't want to pay it, but
trust.
They better go in there and dig it out and give him an extension right away.
Yeah, I thought Notre Dame looked pretty good against SC. I felt like
that was a good game, and SC just couldn't.
SC just couldn't get over the clip. They were kind of like right there hanging out, and then Notre Dame just did what they needed to do to win the game.
Lemon on that reverse pass. How do you just drop the ball?
Yeah,
like you just can't. And
Mayava's 2 interceptions were killer.
Yeah, that and the fumble were huge, and then they couldn't stop the run.
Dude, Jeremiah Love, woo,
grown man.
Flat grown 228. They rushed for 300. Yeah, the big run by Price, the big return by Price. Just
That hurdle by Love, where he just skied over Buddy and just kept going. It's like he didn't even lose stride in the air.
Yeah. Now, like I say, Notre Dame's playing good football right now.
Yeah.
Their 2 losses, obviously, to the Canes and A&M, 2 teams
They're winning
in the
out.
top
They're
10.
not. If they lose, it'll just because they just had a very bad day.
That's a major disappointment if they lose, because they play Boston College, who's god awful.
Mm-hmm.
They should be able to beat Navy. Their toughest game is at Pitt, because they should beat Syracuse with no quarterback, and they got Stanford. So yeah, Notre Dame, book it, in my opinion. They're going 10-2. They'll be in the playoff. So Marcus Freeman's probably not going to be coming to Gainesville.
Probably not.
Let's see. The Holy War was the other top 25 game. I think we both kind of like Utah in that game.
Yeah.
BYU showed up.
Utah had an opportunity and they just couldn't put it. The freshman for BYU they're not throwing the ball. They're just running it and playing tough defense.
Yeah. And that's kind of what Sataki does there.
Yeah.
Like I said, that's a heck of a game. BYU, back-to-back seasons where they started the year undefeated and one of the top teams in the country. It'll be interesting to see who can knock them off their perch. And they got, let's see, like I say, like I said, I went through it a minute ago. They got Iowa State this week, which will be tough, and Texas Tech. So that's their back-to-back games. And then they still got
to split them.
Hell, 3 of their toughest games are on the road. So we'll find out if BYU can hold on.
Who's the third?
At Cincinnati.
Oh yeah, you did say that. Yeah, those are 3. You better come out 2-1. If they don't come out 2-1, they're not. Because
you at least got to be in the Big 12 game, because we don't know how many teams the Big 12 will get in.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, other than that, I don't think there was any. Like I say, Texas looked pedestrian at Kentucky. Dude, South Carolina, is Shane Beamer going to make it through the year?
Once again, with 10 jobs open, can you fire your coach? Can you fire your coach and hope that you get the guy you want in a year like this? Because BBN's about to be open. Not saying BBN, for you all out there, is Kentucky. I don't know if Kentucky's a better job than South Carolina, but that's another job open. So
you want to know? You want to know
Wisconsin? Wisconsin. What's up?
You want to know South Carolina's next 3 games?
Oh, we talked about it in the preseason. They had a 5-game stretch where you're like, "Whew, is Beamer going to keep his job?"
They play Bama Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
Then they're at Ole Miss and at A&M the next 2 weeks.
Hey, Lenore better pull it. He better have break glass in case of emergency and pull out that cape.
He's looked terrible. Like,
stop telling me he's the top 5. Pick.
Right?
Guy hadn't done anything and he's a top 5. Stop telling me guys are top 5 picks and they haven't done anything in college.
All right, buddy. It's time for your boys to bounce back. And I think
they do in a big way. I could care less about the 30 points.
Yeah, I was about to say, who cares? Just win by 30, but just win the damn game.
Not even just win. I just want to see it. I want to see better tackling, because Stanford.
Go back to good execution, clean play.
Yes, because Stanford is going to come out. They're going to run the football. They're going to try to be physical, try to out-physical you. They're not really going to throw the ball. So
I don't know the status of those injuries, so that'll be interesting.
Yeah, so I expect Jacoby Thomas and Poiser to be closer to the lines of scrimmage, 7 and 8. So defensively, better tackling. Offensively, let's execute. Let's get the run game back going. Let's be a little bit more creative on the offensive side. Get the receiver. We got to get more receivers involved. I like Tony. I like.
They're feeding baby Jesus
a little too much.
Yeah,
if you want to win a national championship game,
I do like Daniels. He's a good player too. Yeah, but I'd like to see. Let me get some of these other guys emerging.
Yep.
What the hell has happened to JoJo, man?
That has been that question's been it's so bad that even Lamar Jackson from the Baltimore Ravens tweeted, "Where is JoJo Trader?" That's how crazy it is in Canes Nation about JoJo Trader.
Is he dropping balls in practice? Like what?
Yeah,
what is going on?
So from what I've heard, he was nicked up in camp. I told you guys that in the preview. He was nicked up in camp. Came back, he started game 1, and he's just, I guess he's not fulfilling Mario's expectations. Let's put it. That's how everyone's saying it without saying it, that he's not coming into practice. He's not practicing hard. He's not doing what he's supposed to do off the field, in the facility, and all of that. And it doesn't translate to you getting on the field. Now, for people that don't know, Mario is very transparent on what he expects from his players. So
Tighten your ass up. Tighten up.
yeah, he tells you that on your recruiting visits. So parents know, families know, your agent knows. If you're not doing what you're supposed to do, you're not getting on the field.
Yeah.
So, but
Sure.
we definitely got to get JoJo Trader, Nikar, and Ray Joseph. Hell, even if it's not those three, you got to get Upshaw and Josh Moore on the field. We got to get other guys on the field and be creative and find usage of the height with Josh Moore and the speed of Nikar and Ray Joseph. You got to be more creative.
I
We
agree
can't
that you
just
got to
do
get those
the
guys.
2-back, hand it off, or pull it out and throw it to baby Jesus.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I'm in agreement.
ultimately Miami's going to win this game. They should win this game. I could
They'll
care
win
less
this
if
game.
it's by
They will
10
win
or
this
30.
game. They will
Just
win this game.
better tackling, run the football, Carson be efficient, coaches be better.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Ditto is Stanford, man. Florida State couldn't get it done. You're at home. You don't have to make this West Coast trip.
Right.
I don't know how many guys are banged up for Stanford. Just get back to executing. You're clearly the better team.
Yep.
Wash that game out and reset.
Yeah, use this game to watch.
Yeah.
Like, as an athlete, after a loss, it doesn't matter what you did all week in practice. It does matter, but you want to get to that next game, like you say, just to get that ick off. And you're just like, I just want to play better. Because playing better in practice doesn't mean anything. In the game is where you're like, hey man, let's get the juices flowing and just get the W.
All right. Well, there's a couple top 25 matchups this week. Probably.
And they're still not the biggest game of the week, but go right ahead.
No, you don't think Ole Miss Oklahoma is the best game of the week?
No, it's the best game of the week, but I said the biggest game of the week.
Okay,
we'll get to the biggest in a minute.
Gotcha. What's crazy? This is a big noon kickoff for the SEC. How do Lane and the boys regroup after losing that tight one to Georgia on the road in Norman? Oklahoma's got Money Mateer back playing. They lost Red River. They come back and beat South Carolina.
I still don't think he's healthy.
Yeah.
If for Ole Miss to win this game, their defense is going to have to show up and make enough.
Oklahoma's going to play some D. So
yeah. But I think this game is more on the Ole Miss defense than it is on their offense or the OU defense. Can the Ole Miss offense take advantage of Mateer not being 100%, put him in bad situations, and because he had one of his worst passing games, I think, this past week. But that's how Ole Miss will win. They got to play better defense. Offensively, we see what they could do this past week, even though it didn't show up in the fourth quarter.
But is OU going to knock Lane out, and basically we're going to be like, Lane's already looking at the Florida job, baby.
I like Ole Miss. I like Ole Miss in this game. I just think Mateer is not healthy enough. I could be proven wrong, but I think
I don't know. It's weird. It's weird. OU at home.
Yeah, you gotta like them. Yeah,
I do like Oklahoma's defense a lot. So it's Oklahoma's favored by 4.5. So I'd probably take Ole Miss in the points, but who knows, man? I think this is gonna be a barn burner. Could be like a 24-21 type game. I don't think it's gonna be a shootout like the last game, but I don't know. I'll go OU just to be different because I want Lane to catch another loss.
Yeah, I'm sure. And then how does Ole Miss come back? How do they bounce back from a bad loss where you figure out we're firing all cylinders, we're up and down the field, we're beating Georgia up, and then for 3 quarters, and then that last quarter, you just lay an egg on both sides of the ball. But I like Ole Miss. I like what I've seen so far. Only reason, like I say, the reason why I'm going with them, I'm not sure about Mateer. If Mateer was 100% healthy and playing, I'm taking OU.
Yeah. The 3:30 SEC game against top 25 teams is Missouri at Vandy. We just talked about it briefly a second ago. Vandy, again, a 2.5-point favorite at home against a top 15 team. Can Vandy do it back-to-back weeks, or do you think Missouri and Eli Drinkowitz take down the Commodores? What you got?
I like Vandy. I just the moxie, the swag, the everything about Diego Pavia. It's giving kind of Johnny Manziel vibes, but not on a crazy, I'm going on a trip to Vegas type level. Right. But I like what Pavia and Vandy's doing, and Clark Lee. It's just hard to bet against them right now. I think Mizzou's pretty good. They're a pretty decent team. Now they're getting into the teeth of their schedule because we say they really don't play anybody. But I like Vandy at home.
Yeah, I think I'm with you. Even though I think Missouri's playing pretty good ball. Like I say, that Auburn game was just it was hard to watch too, man. Because again, credit Auburn's D, man. They played lights out, man.
They're playing as
It's
as
just
best as you can.
it's just their offense is
Imagine
so
Auburn's
inadequate, man.
defense with that Arkansas offense.
Right? That'd be a hell
How
of a team, boy.
scary would that be?
That'd be a hell of a team for sure. But I'll roll. I'll roll Vandy too, just to stay on the Diego Pavia train, and just because I think they're the hot team and I think they're playing good ball, and
Mm-hmm.
let's let it keep riding. But again, I could easily see this game going Missouri's way as well, just because they're a pretty good
Yeah.
ball club too.
Yeah.
All right, the other ranked game is the evening game. We just talked about this one. Texas A&M going to Baton Rouge. Does Brian Kelly
Dude, I was
get a
shocked
home
by
win?
this line. I was surprised that it's only 2.5.
Yeah,
I'm like, what has LSU done this season for me to believe that they're a 2.5 dog at home? I thought it would have been like 7, 8, 9, somewhere in that range.
right.
Unless they stop the A&M run game, which I
Mm-hmm.
think Marcel Reed is still good enough to beat them with those skill guys they have. I like A&M by 10.
Yeah, I feel like A&M wins this game just because I just don't think I just don't think LSU's, I don't know what it is. They just don't have it going for them.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't see where they can get it going from what they got. So
Right. They
I
can't
think
run the
A&M,
ball.
yeah, I think A&M to me is playing like a top 5 team. I
Only
love,
thing, only thing about A&M I worry about is Mike Elko's calling card is his defense, and the defense has
yeah,
been kind of shaky this year.
especially in 2 spots. Obviously, the shootout against Notre Dame, and then
Mm-hmm.
obviously the shootout last week against Arkansas. Again, we talked about how Arkansas is kind of playing at a high level clip explosively on offense. But yeah, it was more so of, let me go back and look. I just want to see if Marcel Reed had any turnovers. No, he played clean. Like I said, you look at the numbers, they're so balanced as well. Reed throws for
Yep.
280, they rush for 200. They didn't really turn it over, but on the flip side, you look at what Arkansas did, they rushed for 260 and they threw for 260.
Well, the outlier for Arkansas is that big guy they got at quarterback. That's hard to stop.
Yeah,
They
Taylor
spread
Green's
they
Taylor
spread
Green's
you out
nasty,
to
man.
where
Taylor
you
Green
have
is
to spread
nasty.
out, and that guy is must see TV.
I
He
love
is,
Taylor Green.
yeah,
He's
he's
good.
one of those guys. If people haven't watched Arkansas offensively, just even if you don't want to watch the games, just find somewhere on YouTube where you can find Taylor Green highlights, and he's explosive.
Yeah, I'm with you on this. I'm going lock of the week. Give me Texas A&M -2 and a hook. It's
Yep.
just because they're giving LSU the home field respect card is what they're giving them
Yeah,
there.
I agree. I agree.
If this game was at Texas A&M, you probably would have that 6.5 to 8.5 point
Yeah.
spread.
No, I agree.
All right, dog. Give me your game. Give me your best game then, because those are the top 25 games.
Well,
What game do you have circled, or what games are
I'll
you
have
looking
that
forward
one.
to?
I'll go to that one
Syracuse and
last.
Georgia Tech.
Nope, I'll go to that one last. But Georgia Tech should win that game.
There you go.
UCLA, Indiana. Hey man, UCLA is a totally different team since they fired Deshaun Foster. I think Indiana wins this one, but I just want to see how Indiana plays against a team that has nothing to lose, that's just coming
Yeah,
out.
no, that'll be
Now, is
interesting.
Nico healthy?
Yeah.
That's the key. Nico got hurt last week. Is he healthy in this
Yeah.
game?
Yeah,
If
they're
Nico
favored by
doesn't play,
4
they don't have a
scores.
chance.
Yeah, I agree with that for sure. Yeah,
Um,
I just want to watch Indiana play again, really, just because
you don't know enough
'cause
about them.
yeah, I mean, I didn't watch much of the Michigan State game, but I know they handled business, so it's like you just want to watch them play again. So yeah,
Yeah.
and against, like I say, a team that's kind of like feeling good about themselves after
Mm-hmm.
what they were going through. So yeah, I like that one.
The game, the other line I'm kind of puzzled by outside of the Texas A&M LSU game is Illinois going out to UW, going out to Seattle, the Great Northwest, and UW being favored by 4.5. I'm just kind of scratching my head. I mean, I know Illinois has been kind of struggling against the good teams. They're gonna have a tough time stopping that UW quarterback. I think it's Redmond is his name. He's really good.
Demond Williams.
Williams, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's really good. Um, it's just an interesting game because they're underdogs. But the biggest game of the week is going to be in Memphis. South Florida versus Memphis. This game sets up for the winner to potentially be in the playoff. I know they
Yep.
both have to play in the conference championship game for the most part, but I think if USF could get through this game and give Memphis their second loss, they potentially don't have to play them again in the conference championship game. And USF's on a heater since they lost to Miami. They're on a heater right now, and they're projected to be that 12th team, that 12th team in. So this is probably the biggest game of the weekend, like outside of the top 25.
Yeah, to me, they would definitely knock Memphis out of that spot to be the team they would have to play in the conference championship game. Then it would turn to Tulane, which is probably going to be the other team, and that would probably be, in the conference championship game would be for that 12 spot, because Tulane and them have the same record at 6-1. Tulane, they got Memphis in 2 weeks, so that could knock Memphis up to 3 losses.
Like a round robin almost.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Now you look at Tulane, I think Tulane's going to run the table. So you're looking at a collision course here. As long as Tulane and South Florida take care of Memphis, here's the great part about it. Memphis has a shot to resurrect themselves by knocking both of those guys off. So that's going to be a hell of those 3 teams are fighting for that 12th spot, in my opinion. Like your opinion.
Well, that's why I say this is probably the biggest game of the weekend.
De facto eliminator game if you're Memphis. You're this is a de facto playoff game of, you got to beat USF, and guess what? You got to turn around and beat Tulane in a couple weeks. And if you're South Florida, you're trying to still stay in the race as well. So
right.
Definitely interesting matchup for sure. And it's going to be a big one for that G5 12 spot, that last spot to get in the playoff.
Yeah, because you want to position yourself in a way. I think the 12 spot is coming from that conference. I don't see Liberty or anyone else coming out. I think
West, one of those teams.
Yeah, so if you're South Florida, even if just say you want to win this game, I think you say they don't play Tulane, South Florida.
No. They would only play them in the championship if Tulane goes.
Yeah. So if you're South Florida, you pretty much, can you pull up their schedule? I think if they win this game,
South Florida's,
I think they're easy the rest of the way.
Oh yeah, they're done. They got UTSA, Navy, UAB, and Rice.
Yeah. The scary one there is UAB.
UAB's 3-4. Rice is 3-4. They're both UTSA. All 3 of those teams are 3-4, and at the bottom, Navy's 6-0. So I got your boys, the Navy midshipmen. Okay. I mean, so we're sleeping on Navy. I mean, who knows? Navy's in the mix.
So in other words, every week in Conference USA is going to have the biggest game of the week.
Definitely.
Because if you're the other conferences, the other teams in the bigger conferences, you give yourself some leeway if you just say undefeated like Texas A&M.
Yeah, Navy has the much tougher slate coming. They got at North Texas. They're not beating Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Then they play South Florida and Memphis before they play the Army Navy game.
That's tough.
Yeah.
That's tough.
I mean, you just went through that gauntlet, man.
Yeah, I know. You got to figure that Navy's probably going to have 2 losses, one in conference, one out of conference in that stretch. But
that's exactly what happened on your season. You're playing it out in real time.
Yeah, I know.
If you haven't figured out far, not have a dynasty with Army Navy, baby.
Who would have thought Sponge would succumb to this? I know you're so anti-Army.
I blew out the option. Yeah, right. I know. I've been so anti-Army Navy, but
best game of the year. I'm telling you, best game of the year to watch.
Yeah,
even if you watch the first 30 minutes of it.
The first 30.
Yeah, that's all I got. This is kind of this week is kind of a down on paper. It's kind of a down compared to the last 2 weeks. It's kind of a down week.
But like I say, there's those top 25 matchups. Yeah, and there's definitely some teams that need to be. Don't sleep on these teams because you can get clipped.
Yeah, I mean, we had 9 teams lose in the top 25. Yeah.
Totally.
Now this week, how many are we going to have? We're going to have more. There's going to be probably 2 to 5.
Yeah,
potentially.
I totally agree with that. Like I say, it's been a wild 2 weeks, really. And like I say, it's more to come because, like I say, we just reached the halfway point. So now it's time to see what these teams, as they get more into conference play, who steps up, who doesn't. Who starts accumulating those losses, who gets those big wins, and again, how many more coaches get fired?
If your favorite pundit tells you your team is out, if they have only 0 or 1 loss, don't listen to them. They are idiots. They don't know. They're just trying to get you to get clicks. They're trying to get you to click on their website.
Yeah,
No one is truly out of it unless you have 2 or more losses. And even then with 2 losses, Notre Dame's still in it with 2 losses.
Oh, yeah, for sure, for sure. Like I say, there's no reason to get hypotheticals because, like I say, the good part about this year is a lot of it's going to play itself out, and we'll get into those arguments and debates as the season goes on when we see kind of more of who's in, who's out, who's trying to get in, and all that good stuff. But yeah, man, it was a good one. And like I say, I'm just happy that the cloud of Billy Napier, son of Billy, is off of my shoulders. I mean, now I can just go on and watch the games and not have to worry anymore.
I mean, you're
now
still going to worry. I know you.
Yeah, I mean, well, now it's more so like, let's go get
X's
some upsets.
And O's. It's down to X's and O's and execution.
Yeah, oh, sure. I mean, let's see. Here's what's going to be wild.
The cocktail party.
Yeah, what if the Gators just come out and just like light it up offensively the next couple of weeks? You're just like, what?
That'd be hilarious. Like, what have you been doing? Well,
exactly.
It's just him being stubborn. That cleared the way that and that could potentially stop him from getting another big job because people are going to be like, well, damn, when you were the coach all these, you have one big game against Utah that you won, and after that, what have you done?
Again, he's going to be at Publix, cooking Cruz's popcorn chicken, man.
Hey, man, them chicken tender subs.
I don't know if he can successfully chop up the chicken.
Yeah, Billy's going to get another job. He's going to get another opportunity.
UAB. He'll be at UAB.
Hey, if I'm Billy, take either. You don't have one of those James Franklin contracts that say he has to get a job. So if I'm him, I'll just go be an analyst.
Get your cool 20 mil and figure it out.
Yeah, be like Coach O, run up and down South Beach with no shirt off and just chill. I mean, I know he's married and all that. He can do all of that, but still, hey, you learn from I think he's going to learn from his mistakes. He's going to get another opportunity at a smaller school.
Like I say,
and hopefully he takes advantage of it.
Kudos to Billy. Like, good dude. Not a good coach. He did a lot of good things at UF. He brought in a lot of good people. He got a lot of stuff done. So what's great is, in a sense, the system is in play for the next guy to come in and hopefully be successful. Yeah. If you can retain this roster, a lot of things are set up for the next guy to really take off to where, again,
the next guy being Lane Kiffin.
Exactly. You can flip this thing quick. So let's get it going. Bring on the lane train. I'll be the conductor, baby. Let's go. Come on, Lane. Come on down, baby. Come to the sip, come to the swamp, baby. Commit to the swamp.
Hey, somebody, I hope they got a hot yoga studio down there.
We got plenty. We got plenty of hot yogas.
Hey, because we know they got the bars, and he's fine with that. He hadn't drank in a while, so it's all about the hot yoga studios.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. All right, my dude. We'll holler at all y'all. Enjoy your college football. Enjoy your NFL football. Enjoy whatever you want to watch.
Bear down, baby.
Chicago Bears are playing good ball. Yeah, hit the like, hit the subscribe, hit the holler, talk some trash. Yeah, I'll post it on Facebook again, so maybe we can get some interaction about.
Hey guys, let us
know. Being a lane hater. He's being a lane hater now.
Hey, who do you guys? I already asked Peter Poncho, who does he want to be the Gator coach? Let us know who you think the next Gator coach is going to be.
For sure.
Who's going to be the next guy against
Stratton was mad at me for trolling Florida State when I was trying to fire Billy. I'm like, damn right, I'm trying to fire Billy. Yeah. And I'm trolling Florida State fans because I was up watching Florida State lose.
Hey, would you say we were probably the only two fans that's just rooting for this game to be done? Florida State fans are sleeping. Half of them the next day, they're like, what happened? We lost?
Yeah.
I'm kind of fan of you.
You guys lost to the trees, man. You lost to the trees, man. All right, dog. We'll holler at y'all. Week 10 next week, man. Week 10, bro. Week 10.
Flying by. It's flying by.
Enjoy it. You get only like 12 of these a year. You're only guaranteed 12. So
Speaking
enjoy
of
your team. Exactly. Week 10, baby.
You about to get
coming right now. It's coming right now, Jakari. Coming right now.
Let's go.
All right, my peoples. Holler at your boys, and we'll see you next week.